In today's session of Divorce Court, after a year and a half of marriage, Elizabeth Scott says she can't take any more. Her husband, Charles, is a sex addict.
And the only time you could have sex with me is when I was sleeping because I wouldn't touch you otherwise, you filthy thing.
She says he spent all her money on sex.
How much money did you invest in phone sex?
Close to $4,000.
$4,000 in phone bills for sex?
Then gave her a disease while she was pregnant.
And when they tested me, because they couldn't figure out why I kept having contractions, why the baby was in distress, they told me that I had gonorrhea.
Now Charles has a new girlfriend.
So you're Mr. Scott's girlfriend, and you used to be the babysitter for Mrs. Scott.
And Elizabeth wants justice.
And I can't believe you have the broken, diseased manhood to bring this up in court.
In today's session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Elizabeth Scott versus Charles Scott. I'm advised after a year and 5 months from saying I do, you're ready to say I don't, Mrs. Scott. Why?
Ma'am, my husband's sexual addictions, his addictions to pornography and internet sex and phone sex destroyed me as a woman, as a mother, and as a provider for my children.
Your husband has an addiction to internet sex, phone sex?
Several addictions, Your Honor, and they were pretty extensive. They destroyed us financially, which is part of the reason that we're no longer together.
Mrs. Scott, what do you have to say about that?
As far as the addictions themselves, yeah, they were there.
Addictions? Or just, I mean, you're addicted means you're there all the time.
Well, they're not actual addictions themselves as far as it was an occurrence because of the control factor she tried to impose on me.
The control factor from her?
Yes.
She
tried to have a power trip as far as
a power trip, Your Honor.
She wanted all the money. She wanted all control.
I was a subservient wife. I had to kiss the ground. He walked on it.
No, he wanted you to fulfill his sexual fantasies, he's saying.
They were humiliating, Your Honor. He wanted me to do awful sexual things that no woman should have to do.
Like what? What sexual things did he want you to do that no woman should have to do?
Sexual things that I told him I was uncomfortable with, that I felt disgusting doing.
And you said you'd be willing to try it. If you didn't like it, then you would not
Well, I didn't like it, and that's why you kept doing it again, and that's why I didn't want to do it again.
It was discontinued.
And the only time you could have sex with me is when I was sleeping because I wouldn't touch you otherwise, you filthy thing. You never took a bath.
So you wouldn't touch your husband otherwise, and the only way you could have sex was
he doesn't shower. Your Honor, from the day we met, he lied to me about who he was, how he lived.
Let's talk about lie. You talked about a rape case that you had. Then you said you had chlamydia.
There are charges brought up on that.
You said
there are charges. It is recorded in the San Diego Police Department about that. How dare you?
What are you talking about? A rape case? What does that have to do with this?
And then, for a point that she's getting ready to bring up.
I was assaulted on my 19th birthday by two of my friends.
Let me get
a point she was getting ready to bring up, trying to say that I gave her gonorrhea when in fact she was the one who had the rape.
I've got proof. Right here. Right here.
She thinks that you gave her gonorrhea.
Correct.
When you met her, she told you that she had been raped.
Right.
And that she had contracted a venereal disease as a result of the rape.
Right, and that she had it treated and that nothing had been come up.
And that it had not been solved.
Right. And later on down the road, she comes back during her pregnancy with Braxton Hicks, and the Braxton Hicks labor.
She came back with her pregnancy. You filthy trailer trash loser, you.
Stop, Mrs. Scott. I can't understand what he's saying. She came back later on and what?
Later on during the pregnancy, about 2 months prior to her actually giving birth, she started having Braxton Hicks false labor. They did tests on it, and it came up to be that there was gonorrhea in her system.
So she was tested during the pregnancy.
Right.
Discovered that she had gonorrhea.
Right.
And she says you gave it to her.
Right.
No. And you say that she contracted the gonorrhea from the rape.
He's lying.
From the rape, and it
He's
lay
lying.
dormant.
All right. Well, how do you know that she contracted gonorrhea from him?
First of all, because when I got pregnant, when I was raped, as a survivor of rape, I was tested.
How long ago was this before the pregnancy?
Maybe 3 months.
Oh, all right.
I'm
glad you survived it.
Yes, a woman who is assaulted, all right, and I can't believe you have the broken, diseased manhood to bring this up in court, for which you should be slapped by a real man.
But if it's too much for you, Mrs. Scott, you don't have to take it any further in terms of that.
I was tested, Your Honor.
All right.
I had embarrassing, humiliating tests done to me. I had proof that I I was tested for sexually transmitted diseases from the time I was assaulted by these two men up until the time I was 6.5 months pregnant, all of which came out negative. All of which came out negative, and when I went to the hospital on Valentine's Day by myself, because he wouldn't go with me.
I had to work on days.
It was at nighttime. The hospital was 25 minutes away. He made me go by myself.
And that's when you determined that it was discovered you had gonorrhea.
They tested me, Your Honor. And when they tested me, because they couldn't figure out why I kept having contractions, why the baby was in distress, it was 5 days later they told me that I had gonorrhea. And my
Joe,
witness,
let me see that, please.
My witness was in the room when I found out. My witness is a witness to my character as a faithful, subservient wife who practically kissed the ground this man walked on. I have proof, Your Honor. He is lying. This man should be exposed.
Did you show this to him?
He knows that it's in there. He knows that it's there. I can't believe you have the to lie about something like that with it on paper. What do you think you're going to accomplish?
The same thing you were going to try to accomplish by bringing it up. Nothing.
I didn't even bring it up. What are you, so
stupid? You were getting ready to
Your
bring up
memory's
the
like
gonorrhea.
like the rest of you?
Look at you.
Did you use a word in this courtroom?
I apologize.
You do not use that language,
yes,
no
Your
matter
Honor.
how angry you get.
I apologize. I just think he's not even a man to bring up something like that.
You have a witness, you said?
I have a witness to my character, to the fact I was faithful, and she was 2 feet away from me in my kitchen when the doctor called me to tell me I had gonorrhea.
Please, let your witness step forward.
He had to have this taken care of off the record because he knew the military would prosecute him.
No.
What's your name?
Jesse Kneff.
Jesse Kneff?
Yes.
What can you add to this?
I would go to visit while he was at work, and Elizabeth would tell me, like when she got the phone bill of all the calls that he had made overseas for the porn, you know, how was she going to get the money? And he was racking it up and doing stuff. And then when I was there, when the doctor called and she got word that she did get gonorrhea, it was like her life just shattered right there because she knew she had kids and she knew, you know, this baby was on the way.
Did she show you the bills, the phone bills, or did she just tell you about them?
No, I saw one of the phone bills when she was still in San Diego. And it was into the 500s.
And this is a phone sex?
Right. Sex
Were you
line.
paying for these calls, Mr. Scott?
Yes. I was the one working.
You were the one working?
Yes.
I had just given birth to a baby. Of
so
course
you were paying
working.
the phone bill?
Yes.
And did you all have enough, that kind of money that you could put out $500 a month for a phone bill for sex?
Technically, no, but I did.
We didn't even have furniture, Your Honor,
did.
because he had spent so much money on this.
Thank you, Mrs. Kneff.
Yeah.
Thank you for shedding some light on it.
My family didn't go without food.
Yes, we did, Your Honor.
No, you did not.
Yes,
Well,
we
you
did.
said she alluded to the fact that your finances suffered as a result of your phone
The finances
addiction.
didn't drop completely
Yes,
off.
they did, Your Honor.
What they did is they got
What
cut
suffered?
in half.
How much over the course of 17 months, it's a 17-month marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much money did you invest in
Probably
phone
about
sex,
$1,700.
cyber sex, etc.?
$1,700.
Lie.
$1,700.
Lie.
Probably.
That is a lie.
How much do you say?
I said close to $4,000.
$4,000 in phone bills for sex?
When divorce court resumes, Elizabeth talks about the pain her marriage has caused her.
Ever since I've been separated from him, I have not been able to respond to a man the way that a man deserves to be responded to.
And Charles' new girlfriend takes the witness stand.
So you're Mr. Scott's girlfriend, and you used to be the babysitter for Mrs. Scott.
Are you getting divorced? Do you need Judge Maybelline Ephraim's help settling a dispute? If you want to be a guest on Divorce Court, call 1-877-311-2222. Divorce Court continues as the judge investigates just how much money Charles spent on cyber sex and telephone pornography during his marriage to Elizabeth.
How much is the credit card bill now? You have a credit card bill?
I have a copy of the most recent one. I'm $63 over my $4,500 limit because the interest payments
May
on
I
this.
see that, Joe? And that's the only thing that was being charged on that bill?
What he was
No.
doing, so for the first couple of months, he was stupid about it. He didn't figure it out that I would I would find these charges on my card. I reported my card stolen. I had
We confronted about it.
Excuse me. Hello. Okay.
You
Intelligent
reported your
person
card
talking.
stolen and what?
I had desperately tried to get the records, but I was not able to get them in time. I have proof that I did try.
$1,286
What month is that?
and 61 cents for 1 month.
The
No.
account was, when I
That's a
kicked-
lot of money.
When
Yeah,
I
it
kicked him
is.
out
I'd like
the
to
first
see it
time,
if
Your
it was
Honor,
me.
is that he emptied my bank accounts. He did all the cash advances he could because he knew that I could not pin him on that. He stole my PIN number. I reported
No.
my card stolen twice.
Cash advances?
Yes.
So what do you think you should do about this?
I feel I might owe her a maximum of $500
I don't
towards
agree
it.
with that.
Maximum of $500?
I don't
Yes,
agree
because
with
as
that.
well
I don't.
as well as the payment of $500, I also signed over a 1985 Mercury
Wrong,
Cougar
Your Honor,
to
because
her
I paid for it.
with a verbal agreement.
I paid for it.
That the
Let
Visa
him
card,
finish.
You did not pay for
paid for it.
That came from my severance pay
Nope.
from the Marine Corps.
No, I paid for it.
Stop the bickering. Let him finish.
I paid a total of $4,700 by the time everything was paid off for the car.
No.
Okay, so you gave her a 1985
Mercury Cougar.
No.
Cougar
Right.
He's lying.
And she had the verbal
as
agreement.
compensation for the bills.
Right.
I went to work. We had a house. We had furniture. We had food and diapers, and we were not starving for anything until
was
he
put on
kept
the
these
Visa
bills
card.
put up. No, I was making enough money. I wouldn't need to put it on
Value
the Visa
City
card.
Furniture, you made
Okay,
a purchase.
$4,000 was not put on the card for the cyber sex.
Not
so
all
you
of
used the
it.
card for other things.
Well,
Correct.
of course, we
All
would
right.
go grocery
Furniture
shop, and
purchase.
when at times when I wasn't trying to spit fire at this man for being so revolting, we would go out to dinner, or we would have friends, or we would, we would do things together.
The two of you certainly had two different interpretations of
Correct.
what marriage should be.
Correct.
She didn't anticipate what your sexual desires were.
Right.
And it seemed that you were a little insensitive to what she expected.
To a degree, I guess, yeah.
And you would seem that you would understand, since you, on the one hand, you married her, knowing that she had been a victim of a rape,
Right.
and knowing that she was pregnant.
Right.
That showed a level of sensitivity on your part. And she told you about what she was going through.
Right.
So you should have known and been understanding to know that a woman who had experienced that would not be as willing nor of the same frame of mind to get off into the sexual fantasies which you wanted. Because to
We
her,
just-
that was a further extension of
Thank you.
the violation of her body that
Thank
she
you
had
so
endured.
Right.
Thank
and
you
we
so
had
much. He could
discussed
not
that,
understand
and she said
that.
she would try, and if she didn't like it, then we would
But
discontinue.
he repeatedly, not forced is not a good word, he repeatedly
Asked.
demanded that I do these things. And if I did not agree to his demands, I would go to sleep, and he would come and he would have sex with me in my sleep the way he wanted to have sex with me. I said, this is hurting me. What you're doing is hurting me. It is hurting me physically, it is hurting me emotionally, and it is hurting me as a woman. I was not, ever since I've been separated from him, I have not been able to respond to a man the way that a man deserves to be responded to.
I know that we have another witness. Are you
Your
a
Honor,
witness?
She has nothing to say. She didn't meet us until after we were
How do you know
separated.
she has nothing to say, Ms.
She used to
Scott?
babysit for her
She used
after
to work
we
for
were
me. I
separated.
fired her because she didn't show up 2 days in a row, and I lost.
You wanna know
Well, Miss-
I lost significant income because of her, and I fired her.
Mrs. Scott, why are you afraid to allow this witness to talk?
She has nothing to say. She has, and anything that comes out of her mouth is a lie because she didn't know him until after I fired her, which means she doesn't know anything about what happened in our marriage.
Well, may I ask her if she has something to say?
Go
Let
right
me
ahead.
see if she has anything to say.
Please tell me.
Do you mind? What is your name?
Jackie Parrish.
What is your relationship to these people?
Tell me. She's sleeping with him. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to butt my mouth shut. I'm sorry.
I know you're angry. I know you're hurting. And I sympathize with you. But at the same time, I have to keep some order in the court.
I agree, ma'am. I'm sorry. This is
All right.
just really frustrating that she thinks she has something to say. She knew me for 3 months, did not know him until
But
after.
maybe she's going to say something about him. Just give her a chance. Let's see what she has to say.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your relationship? She cut you off. I didn't hear that.
Currently, he's my boyfriend, yes.
So you're Mr. Scott's girlfriend.
Yes.
Couldn't get anybody back.
And you used to be the babysitter
Yes.
for Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Now, tell me about the issues in the case.
Your
What
Honor.
about the cyber sex and the phone bills that Mr. Scott ran up? You know anything about those?
Not offhand.
You don't know anything about that?
No.
But you were the babysitter.
She never explained any of that to me.
But now you're with him.
She knows about them.
I know
She said
about
she
them
doesn't
now.
know.
How much does
At
she
the
know?
time,
The whole thing.
I know the fact that he's not doing it no more.
Is he still doing it?
No.
It's because he's got you to do all his perverted, humiliating things for him because you can't do anything better.
Ms. Scott, you don't know what they're doing in their household.
I know what he's like, Your Honor, and I know even when he's at his best, he still demands humiliating things.
All right, thank you, Ms. Parrish. All right, I'm going to take a break and give this some thought.
When divorce court returns, the judge decides whether Charles must repay Elizabeth for the phone sex charges he made on her credit card. And an update on the case of Sherry Burks versus Alvin Burks.
He hit me. He tried to push me out of the car.
Stop lying.
He then
stop
bit
lying.
me.
He bit you.
He then bit me and then took off.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Divorce court is back as the judge renders her verdict in the volatile case of Elizabeth Scott versus Charles Scott.
Let me start out by saying that Mrs. Scott, I know that you've been a victim of a very horrible crime, and it takes a lot to get over it. And sometimes in a marriage, we try to use that as a way to escape from some of the things that life has given us in terms of the bad things we run into from one relationship to another relationship. And I think that's what you did in this case, and it probably was a mistake. Although Mr. Scott at that time was offering you the security and the comfort that you needed, but because you didn't really know him as a person and didn't really know this other side of him, again, you allowed yourself to get into a situation that caused you some harm. That's why it's so important to get to know people without the surface knowledge before you enter into a marriage. Because marriage is a commitment. And our society, when you marry, it puts certain responsibilities on you and certain obligations that may or may not be what we call fair. But in this particular case, it probably will seem unfair, but the debt was incurred on the credit card during the marriage. The vehicle was purchased during the marriage, which makes it a community asset. Both of you are entitled to the car. Both of you have to pay on the debt. Mr. Scott, in your testimony too, revealed that he's paid something on the credit card obligation, and all of it is not for cyber sex. I can't punish him for having an addiction that caused you all some financial problems. It's no different than a person who would be an alcoholic who overspends, or a shopaholic who goes to some department store and overspends and causes the marriage financial ruin. It's no different. So in this situation, the court is of the opinion that you have been adequately compensated and there has been fairness when he gave you the vehicle, and that you have to assume the debt. So the court is not going to require Mr. Scott to pay any more on this debt, and the court denies your request for the same and declares that both of you have been adequately compensated. That is the judgment of the court.
When divorce court returns, an update on the case of Sherry Burks versus Alvin Burks.
Your Honor, she is lying. Sherry is a very dramatic person.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in divorce court. Sherry Burks said she tried to make her marriage to Alvin work and ignored his angry outbursts. But after the death of their son, Sherry said Alvin's temper got worse and she had to leave.
First incident where I was hit, Your Honor, was when I was pregnant.
Are you serious?
Your Honor, she is lying.
With a major black eye and a contusion on the side of my head.
Sherry is a very dramatic person.
He hit me. He tried to push me out of the
Stop
car.
lying.
He then
Sherry, stop
bit
lying.
me.
He bit you?
He then bit
Stop
me and
lying.
then took off.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Sherry brought Alvin to court to get back half the money she spent on their son's headstone.
You're arguing over furniture and furnishings that were purchased with money given to you due to a very, very sad event. the death of your 2-month-old son.
After they left court, Sherry relocated to another state, and Alvin plans to buy a house and spend more time with his other son.
I'm not upset with the woman for her decision. I think she's probably right. Yes, he's getting off totally scot-free. I will personally see you burn in hell.
Tough.
In today's session of Divorce Court, Joseph and Faith Albertson were each going through a divorce when they met. The sparks flew instantly, and they quickly got married. But after 4.5 years, they say they're ready for a divorce. Joseph says Faith wasted his money.
How much did you pay for those Beanie Babies?
A little over $2,000.
She bought breasts.
She bought some new breasts?
I got half of those.
You gonna get those, baby.
Faith says the problem was another woman, Joseph's ex-wife.
Every single month, it was pay the wedge, pay the wedge.
Pay the wedge.
That's what she calls my ex-wife, Your Honor.
Did you have some jealousy over the ex-wife?
That's her reason for going out and having an affair
That is not
and
the only
ruining our
reason.
marriage.
What's the affair?
It just happened.
It just happened. That sounds like a teenager.
Today, Faith and Joseph Albertson face each other in divorce court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the matter of Joseph Albertson versus Faith Albertson. I'm advised that after 4.5 years of marriage, you're about to end this relationship. Mr. Albertson, what's going on?
Your Honor, the reason we're here today is my wife was dishonest. She lied to me, and then she decided to go out party, strike up an affair, go to bed with another person, go to bed with another person, and in turn, I lost all the trust that I ever had with her.
When did all this occur?
It started happening about 5 weeks ago.
There's a whole lot more.
But tell me about the 5 weeks ago.
5 weeks ago was sort of the culmination of the last 3 years of Joe's unwillingness, refusal to communicate about a financial matter that we've been involved in, which has involved paying spousal support to an ex-wife who I call the wedge.
That was court ordered,
Refusal to
Your Honor.
communicate about him paying the spousal support to an ex-wife?
Right.
What do you mean by refusal to communicate about it?
Because every time we brought it up,
She wanted me not to pay her, Your Honor. She didn't want me to pay it.
Absolutely not paying her. I said, well, why don't we go to court and get it modified? Let's do something, because every single month it was pay the wedge, pay the wedge.
Pay the wedge?
That's what she calls my ex-wife, Your Honor.
It's a wedge between us.
Did you have some jealousy over the ex-wife?
I don't think it was jealousy. It was
Did you think that perhaps he was still in love with her and not you?
No, I didn't think he was in love with her, but I felt pretty much like the doormat, that he didn't care enough that this issue was meant enough to me so that we could plan financially. We were basically older people starting over in a marriage.
Your Honor, it was a court order for me to pay.
And
was there a court order?
Yes.
For him to pay spousal support?
Yes.
Well, how much was this spousal support order?
$300.
$350 a month.
$300 a month.
Well, and we were paying child support
And between the two of us, we make almost $100,000 a year.
75.
Oh.
And you're screaming over $350 a month to the ex-wife?
Yes.
And that's her reason for going out and having an affair
That is not
and
the only
ruining our
reason.
marriage.
Joe works offshore. He's gone.
What's the affair?
What
is
is
he
it?
lying about
What
that?
is it?
No, he's not.
What is that all about?
What is that about?
It just happened.
What did I do to deserve that? Pay child
didn't do anything
I
to
paid child
deserve it.
support. I paid child support.
It just happened. That sounds like a teenager.
It happened for over a month. For a month, she made conscious decisions to go away with this guy and spend my money.
What do you mean by
I spend 1 penny of yours?
Oh, okay.
Well, explain it to me. What did you spend and how did
it?
it just happen? I don't buy it just happened.
That's right.
The fact
she
he's
put herself
gone
in a position
over the
to
past
do
2
that.
years, and we don't communicate, and this one issue has been an issue. And
The
it should have
wedge,
been
his
resolved.
ex-wife.
Her
we should have
wedge.
gone to counseling. Then we didn't.
No, you should have just
Your
accepted
Honor,
the fact. Stop, Mr. Albertson. You should have accepted the fact that he had a court order for spousal support and he had to obey a court order.
And I
there was
seek
no end
counseling.
date. I wanted him to get an end date.
Stop. It may not have happened the way you wanted it.
I promised her at the end of my daughter's college that I would seek an attorney and go to court, and I had done that 3 or 4 months ago, and that still wasn't good enough for her. I have an attorney, retained an attorney to go to court for the spousal support,
and now
she still decided to go out and do what she did. Why, I don't know.
Tell me, explain that.
I made a poor decision.
With some man?
They went away together.
Did you go away with him?
While I was at work on a platform, couldn't find out what she was doing.
Did you go away with him?
Lied to me.
I did.
And how long?
A couple of days.
While your husband is away for a week at a time working offshore drilling?
That's right.
It's not like he was away cheating on somebody else. He was away trying to earn money so that he could make more money so that this $350 a month support is going out. He could offset it. And that was your response to that?
Also.
Excuse me?
I was also working. I've worked the whole time.
I understand that, but he wasn't having an affair while you were working.
There's no excuse for, I mean,
she knew exactly where to find me every single day of my life. If we had anything else in this world, it was the trust that we had, the vows that we made to each other to be true to each other, and you were less than that. I didn't deserve you to do that to me. You could have broken this off without doing that. You could have broken this marriage up without doing that.
So what we're trying to do is end this peacefully.
Her problem is that she put herself in a position to be with single people and single friends, and you decided to live a different life. Yeah.
Because you had to golf.
So what are all these little animals here? What are they?
They're Beanie Babies, Your Honor.
And how did you collect these?
I've collected them over the past couple of years.
What made you start that?
I went looking for a specific one for a friend, and I thought they were cute, and I started buying them, thinking that I would save them for when I had grandkids. If they were ever worth anything, then we'd put that money in an account for them, or if they weren't, then they'd have lots of toys.
Now, how much did you pay for those Beanie Babies?
I probably spent about a little over $2,000 over the past couple years on.
Your Honor, the worth.
Were you buying the Beanie Babies as part of the money you were spending because he was paying spousal support?
That's right, Your Honor.
Is that why you started buying the Beanie Babies?
Well, I just became a collector and
when we didn't have
collecting.
money, she found money to buy Beanie Babies, and then she'd come home and say, "Well, we don't have any money," you know.
Is that right?
That's right.
No.
It's the truth.
Well, if you're saying that...
Did I never not... Who ramrods the whole household? Who? Did any bills ever
You're
go unpaid?
You're a control freak. You wouldn't let me do it.
Mrs. Albertson.
You didn't want to do it.
Well, I told you to let me take care of the finances several times.
About these Beanie Babies
if you would have let me take care of the finances, you would have some money to spend.
Are they worth money?
Yes.
They are worth some money.
They're collectibles.
What are the Beanie Babies worth?
I don't know their exact worth. Some are worth...
Give me an estimate.
A couple $100s each. Some are just their basic value. I would say...
How much?
Maybe... Well, their dollar value for the purchase price was about $2,000, $2,500 if you average it out.
Okay, you're a businesswoman. You're collecting them. So what do you think they're worth?
I have it pretty much written down, but their value changes as they retire and go
up. I
understand.
Just give me a base value that you think this collection that you have is worth.
$3,000.
$3,000. And you want to keep the Beanie Babies?
Yeah, I want the Beanie Babies.
I say they're half mine. She bought them with our money out of our checking account, and the value of that is they're half mine.
You think they're stupid?
I don't care what I think. They're half mine. I own half of those Beanie Babies.
Why don't you think he's entitled to any of them?
Because I'm the one that went out, found out which ones were current, which ones weren't, stood in line at stores, bought them. I've been for 2 years.
While I was at work making the money to pay for them.
Oh, well, I guess would you rather I've been at the bar instead of buying Beanie Babies?
Well, you might have been there, too. I don't know. You haven't been honest with me.
I was not at the bar.
Do they sell them at the bar?
When divorce court returns.
I got over $40,000 and we paid off bills.
She bought breasts.
She bought some new breasts?
I got half of those.
Woo, we're going to get to the bottom of this in a minute.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce Court is back in the case of Joseph Albertson, who feels betrayed by his wife Faith's affair and is now seeking a divorce.
What else can I do for you today?
Well, we have the issue of the house.
What's that?
The down payment.
What about it?
What about it?
I put $18,000 down on the house. I got a settlement, a disability settlement, and put that money on the house.
When did you get the disability settlement?
3 months before we bought the house.
When did you buy the house?
Over 2 years ago.
During the marriage?
During the marriage.
What was the nature of the disability?
I had work-related injury that I had a couple back surgeries for.
And when did the disability occur?
Prior to marriage.
And you used the $18,000 to put down on the house?
I got over $40,000, and we paid off bills and took care of some things and put the money down on the house.
Bought breasts?
Oh.
Bought breasts?
I got half of those.
You don't get those, baby.
Yeah, she was managed to spend the money on herself. She managed to spend the money.
Woo, we're going to get to the bottom of this in a minute.
I didn't hear you complaining.
She bought some new breasts? She had breast implants?
Yes.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
He didn't complain about it, did he?
No, he did not. Not one bit.
You know what that statement was, Mr. Albertson? You've been nice up until now, but that was a dig.
Yeah, I know it. I feel like I needed one.
You feel better now?
A little bit better. Just a little.
You should feel a little lower. Because you were up there pretty high, but you should feel a little lower.
I don't feel low after what she did to me. I don't know where that is. Oh. And that's low.
All right, so you want the $18,000 back that you put on the house?
And I have all the paperwork showing.
Do you agree on
no,
her contingent?
I do not agree on her, but I will.
I know you don't agree on her getting it back. I didn't ask you that.
But I do have a 401k that's worth about the same amount of money.
More money.
And I'm willing to...
But you said the 401k you invested during the marriage.
Right.
Yes.
Now, I was asking you before you interrupted me.
Yeah.
Do you agree on the facts related to how she received the $40,000 plus?
I agree.
And you agree that she used $18,000 to go down on the house?
I don't agree that it's all her money.
Did the down payment for the house come from the disability money?
Yes, it did, Your Honor.
All right. There's a direct answer. You trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it, and you don't know. What about the computer? You mentioned something about a computer.
We bought a computer probably in February or April of this year. It wasn't very long ago. And I've been needing a computer for a long time. We need to buy a computer. We didn't have the money to put it out, so let's make payments.
So we financed it.
But Joe has a hard time even going to the grocery store because his stomach hurts every time you talk about money or spending money.
Especially when you're financing things, I don't like to do it.
Well, how much does a computer cost?
This computer costs $2,300, $2,400. But I thought this would settle Faith getting her a computer.
Need a computer. Joe, I have my own business now. I need a computer. I can do my reports.
What's your
own business? So we got a computer.
What's your own business?
It's a investigation business.
So you're an investigator? Like a private investigator?
When I say she's not that.
You're a private investigator?
She's a good one, too, sometimes.
Ms. Albertson?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Oh, so now you really be able to check up on people.
Mm-hmm.
And you need the computer for your investigation business?
I do. I write a lot of reports. So I need that, and that's what I use it for. Joe doesn't do reports. He just does email.
But instead of making her happy by getting a computer, she's like this. Why isn't she joyful that she finally got a computer? I don't understand.
I'm extremely happy, but I'm so aggravated that everything, we make the same amount of money, everything has to be in your time, in Joe's time.
It's being financed in both names?
It's in my name.
Okay, I'll be back. Take a break.
When divorce court resumes, the judge renders her verdict and an update on the case of Nathaniel Williams versus Crystal Williams.
Nate, I gave you 8 years of my life.
You didn't give Jack.
Divorce court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce court is back and the verdict is in the case of Faith versus Joseph Albertson.
We're back in the matter of Albertson versus Albertson. Unfortunately, since neither one of you could give me the value of those beanies, I have no way of awarding them equally or equal value. Not equally, but equal value. You don't know how much they're worth, and you don't know how much they're worth, Ms. Albertson. The only fair thing that I can do is to divide them equally. I started to give 102 to you, Mr. Albertson, 102 to Mrs. Albertson, and I was going to take the 105th one so that I could start my beanie collection.
Uh-huh.
But then I thought maybe that would be a conflict of interest. So what I'm going to do is award 102 of the Beanie Babies to the wife and 103 of the Beanie Babies to the husband.
All right.
If you want to give her 103, I'll accept that. What you say, Mr. Albertson?
She can have 103.
Oh, what a gentleman. I'll change my award. You get the oddball, 103. Take one of them out.
Yeah, she knows what's one to get, I bet.
No. What? Can't we just get rid of them all? I don't want half. I don't want half a collection. Half a collection is not worth anything.
How is half a collection not worth anything?
Because I'm collecting them all.
Beanies are, you just said that they're worth value according to each beanie. So one has value, two has value, 102 has value.
I've spent so much time.
You want to get rid of all of them? We can do that.
Just sell
Mr.
them
Alverson,
all.
take them all.
Thank you.
We'll just sell them all.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Take them all.
I will take them.
Okay. The only evidence I have before the court is that the value is $3,000. It may be fair. It may not be fair. Pay her $1,500. Take them all. Sell them. If they're worth more than $1,500, she lost. That's been your attitude throughout the marriage. That's part of the problem. No compromise. This man is trying to pay a court order, and you're angry with him over that. Don't marry somebody that has an ex if you don't want him to pay the support. What did you want him to do? Go to jail?
No, I never wanted him to just stop. Oh, Joe, you know what I wanted.
I don't want to go through that again. I'm not reliving it. I'm not revisiting it.
I've been living it over. It's like Groundhog Day.
I'm not revisiting the issue. The computer you can have, because again, Mr. Alverson says you can have it for your business, and I think that's fair. That's what the court would have done, and you can pay him for it. I thought perhaps keeping part of the beanies, you could sell them and pay him immediately, but now you don't want them.
Maybe she can get it from her boyfriend.
I do want him.
No, it's too late.
I don't have a boyfriend.
I don't play tit for tat, and I don't play today I give and I change my mind. You open your mouth with me, you need to think about it before you open it. You don't get one, but that one. No, you don't want one. You don't get any. Too late.
Oh, well.
You know, that's what happens when you make decisions snapping in anger without giving it thought. I gave my decision thought. The $18,000 used to put on the house, she's entitled to the reimbursement. The computer, you're to pay for it. It's awarded to you, but because it's in his name, it affects his credit. Because you're so angry over the wedge, you may decide to mess up his credit. So you get to keep the computer if you pay him within 30 days. If you don't pay it off within 30 days, then he gets the computer. The 401k was saved during the marriage. That's a community asset to be divided equally according to the rules of your 401k. Somebody has to prepare a document called a qualified domestic relations order. You don't get the money now. You'll get it at retirement. But she's entitled to one half of it.
At retirement.
At retirement. All right? That's the order of the court. Court's adjourned.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
When Divorce Court returns, an update on the case of Nathaniel Williams versus Crystal Williams.
If you would have gave me a part of your daggone life, you wouldn't be here in the first place.
Closed captioning for Divorce Court provided by. If you would like to have the judge hear your case in Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in Divorce Court. After 8 years, Crystal Williams said she could not take being married to her controlling husband, Nathaniel.
Nate, I gave you 8 years of my life. You never wanted
8 years of nothing. You gave me 8 years of bull crap.
Right.
If you would have gave me a part of your daggone life, you wouldn't be here in the first place. So don't give me that. You didn't give Jack.
She was especially angry that he had taken their dream of opening a nightclub together and left her out.
That was a dream we had. That had something we wanted to do together.
You're just angry because I won't let you in it. You can't be in it.
The judge ordered the couple to split up the stereo equipment that they were fighting over.
You want it because you know that's his form of relaxation.
Ma'am, he has over $10,000 worth of stereo equipment.
She don't even listen to it anyway.
But after they got home from court, Crystal says Nathaniel kept giving her excuses why she shouldn't come get the stereo yet. Finally, she got it herself, and now they are working on a parenting plan for their son.
Everybody's seen how hot-headed that Faith is and unrational she is. I don't agree with the 401k, but I'll just have to live with it. I have to go on with my life.
Well, I don't think I really have that much of an attitude because you had to live it to be there, you know, with this whole financial problem that this all caused. But I think she was really fair.
There's no words to describe how empty and lonely you could feel not being able to get a hold of your wife and finding out what she's doing, and then knowing that she's out partying and having a good time with somebody else. It's just like it's the most horrible feeling you can have.
It's real hard. I never thought this would happen. You know, I never meant to hurt him. I never meant to have what happened happen, and it's over. So that's it.
In today's session of Divorce Court,
we're married now.
Teresa and Dante Nixon were married for 5 years, but the marriage was in trouble almost as soon as it started.
When did you find out that the marriage was not so great?
The first time I found out he was cheating on me.
I cheated on her several times. I sure did.
Couldn't you have just left if you were no longer interested in her?
It was cheaper to keep her.
And while Teresa tried desperately to get pregnant, Dante was helping himself to other women.
While I'm getting poked and prodded and looked at by every Joe Blow and wannabe doctor in the world, he's out there dipping himself into somebody else.
But Dante said he had to cheat because Teresa wouldn't have sex with him.
Would you sleep with him?
With their marriage in shambles, Teresa and Dante Nixon are here today in divorce court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
I'm advised that after 5 years of marriage and a beautiful set of twin boys, you two have decided to divorce. Yep. Ms. Nixon, why?
Because he is a lying, cheating dog.
A lying, cheating dog.
And the fact that you even bring me here over the dog.
He doesn't look like a dog to me. He looks like a human.
Looks like that.
But he's not.
Looks can be deceiving. Trust me.
Mr. Nixon, you look very angry over there.
I have no reason to be happy right now, Your Honor.
She says you're a cheater. What did you do for her to call you a cheater?
I cheated on her. I did.
You cheated on her?
Several times.
What did you do?
I cheated on her several times. I cheated with other women. I sure did.
And you sound like you're proud about it.
I would much rather.
It's the only thing he's accomplished.
Yep, I had to get some from somewhere.
Yeah, you sure did.
It sounds like you're proud about it. Is that a proud statement you're making?
I'm not proud. I'm not proud about it, Your Honor. I would have much rather had a nice, beautiful marriage, but I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
Not at all, ever?
Yeah, I did. We have, like you just said, we have 2 beautiful kids.
So since when did the marriage stop being beautiful?
When the marriage stopped being beautiful, let's see, we got married on the 24th, let's say the 1st or 2nd of January.
1st or 2nd of January of what year?
The following week after we got married, probably.
Oh, come on, Mr. Nixon. A week after marriage, it was no longer beautiful. Why?
Well, I went out of town. I left because I was in the military at the time, okay? But I thought maybe we could work things out. Okay, but it didn't work out that way.
A week after you were married, it was no longer beautiful. Why?
Because he was probably cheating.
Work that out.
If you throw in my face one more time while somebody cheating.
Truth?
No,
but when did why is he saying the marriage was gone after 1 week?
I have no idea. This is the first that I've heard of it. It's easier for him to communicate with other people than it is with me. If you had a problem with us being married, you shouldn't have got married to me to begin with. Or if you had a problem with it, you should have said, let's separate. So you mean I didn't need to be married to you. You mean he did something for me?
So you're saying that within a week he says the marriage was over, but you didn't know about it?
No, I had no idea.
So this is the first time you knew that it was over within a week?
It is. First time.
So you've been living together for the last 4 years thinking that everything was grand?
No. I found out early on.
When did you find out that the marriage was not so great?
The first time I found out he was cheating on me.
Well, when was that?
Well, after I found out she was cheating on me.
I asked her when she found out.
Oh, my gosh.
Take a breath. Take a breath. Tell me. The first time you found out that he was cheating on you, that's when you knew the marriage wasn't so great. When was that?
The first time he admitted that he cheated on me, when he came to my job, took me outside while I'm 3 months pregnant.
You were pregnant?
Yes.
All right.
Very pregnant. In vitro. Test tube babies and proud of it.
a test tube baby. You were 3 months pregnant.
Yes, we
in vitro fertilization.
In vitro, while I'm getting poked and prodded and looked at by every Joe Blow and wannabe doctor in the world, trying to find out what's going on or if I can even conceive children, he's out there dipping himself into somebody else.
Because you wasn't dipping with me.
Before you were pregnant?
That's because I was too busy trying to get pregnant.
Then you
weren't doing
dip
it.
a little bit.
Please.
What did you say?
I said you gotta dip a little bit. She's talking about she wanted to get pregnant.
So she wasn't having sexual relations with you?
No, she wasn't having anything with me.
Because you were out there having it with somebody else.
Might as well.
Well, I guess.
Oh,
You can't be with the one you love. You gotta love the one you're with.
I guess, whatever.
Oh, you've been listening to a little too much radio.
Let me tell you about it.
Well, you know what, Your Honor? You know what,
You
Your
ought to
Honor?
give him a contract.
Then I'm going to quote another song then. It was cheaper to keep her.
So that's why you can't stay with it, because it was cheaper to keep her.
That's why I stuck it out.
So why was it so cheaper? What were you holding on to?
What were you going to give me when I left? If you would have told me that I could leave and it would cost you something, I would have left.
I never
you
stopped you.
You could have paid me.
I never stopped
Why
you.
did you
because
tell
I stayed
her
with you
that
because
you
I
were
loved you.
upset with the marriage within the first week, so she too would have known that it was gone? Why didn't you tell her?
I tried. I worked 2 jobs. Okay, I never asked her to do a thing.
You were working
So
2
you
jobs,
didn't feel
so you
that
could be
you
out there
were
meeting
appreciated
somebody.
at home.
I was out there working 2 jobs because of the fact that I didn't feel as though I was needed
If
anyplace
you were
else
working
but
so
work.
damn hard, then how come our phone was ringing at home with somebody calling me, telling me that you...
If he was working so hard.
If he was working so hard, then how is it that people could be calling our house, women calling my house 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the morning, telling me, oh, well, girl, I know your husband is cheating on you. And better yet, I know because he was cheating with me. I even met one of the girls that claimed that she was sleeping with him.
And you listened to these conversations?
I had no reason not to.
Instead of hanging up the phone.
They called your house?
Yeah, they called my house.
You couldn't hang up?
Oh, yeah, I could have hung up, but by that time, I knew he had been cheating. I wanted to know what was going on.
And you believe strangers telling you that?
Yes, I did. Because if he could stand there and take a vow and promise to honor, keep, love, and everything else, and go and do what he did, then I should believe a stranger over him, because I had a better chance of them telling me the truth.
No,
did you call the job to see if he was there?
The times that I got phone calls, 11, 12 o'clock, where he was working at, it would be closed. So no one was answering the phone. They'd be cleaning up, as he says, but I'm sure I know what your cleaning up was really about.
If I'm sitting there at work, because I have a job, something you did not have.
Because I was at home taking care of our children. Get it straight, my brother. Get it straight.
Since the children were premature.
Correct, they were, Your Honor.
Both of you couldn't go to work with the children in that state.
I understand that. I understand that. And I was
so you worked 2 jobs?
I worked 2 jobs. Had no problem supporting her and my kids.
But because you didn't feel love at home, you went to another affair?
No, I didn't go to another affair. No, I went to another job.
Why is the marriage breaking up? I'm told it's breaking up because there was another affair and another set of children.
After a while, there was another affair.
When was that?
After a while.
Okay, after a while, there was another affair. Okay, like I said, I wasn't getting loved at home. I wasn't doing anything at home. Wasn't getting anything at all. Wasn't even sleeping in my own bedroom, in my own bed.
Did you say anything to me about it? You weren't talking to me about it.
Why wasn't he sleeping in his own bed, Mrs. Nixon?
Would you sleep with him after you found out he was cheating on you? I'm not gonna sleep with him for what? I might be married to him, but I have no obligation to put myself at risk or to suffer more mental abuse by him.
So that's why you stopped sleeping with him?
Yeah.
After you found out about the affair?
After I found out about all of them, including the one that I busted you on February 14th, 1998. Talk your way out of
she
that,
remembered the date.
Brother.
Tell me that on February 14th, 1998.
I don't need to talk my way out of it.
What about that? That's Valentine's Day, Lover's Day.
Thank you. And what did I get anything?
I was with my lover at the time.
And you sitting here bragging about it?
Yeah, he was. I caught him. He was got out of the car and gave her a kiss when he got out of the car.
Couldn't you have just left the marriage a long time ago and divorced if you were no longer interested in her?
Once again, like I said, Your Honor, it was cheaper to keep her.
So you didn't have to pay for it?
Oh, my gosh.
It was cheaper to keep her.
You just so cold like that? Cheaper to keep her?
You should check up on California divorce laws then, because you wouldn't have had to pay me no alimony if you would have divorced me earlier.
Like I really should have.
Yeah, like you should have.
I know I should have.
It probably would have been cheaper the first few months of the marriage.
Thank you.
What did this woman do to make you that angry?
She wasn't there for me when I needed her to be there for me.
What do you mean by that?
You weren't there either.
You know?
What do you mean by that? You just said she was at home every day.
I was the one that spent my time alone, you know?
But you said she was at home while you were working 2 jobs.
Correct.
So what do you mean she wasn't there?
And the only reason I worked 2 jobs is because of the fact that I didn't feel as though that I was needed there. You make me feel as though that I'm wanted someplace. That's where I'll be.
Okay, so
they made me feel more wanted at work. They made me feel more wanted at work than I was at home.
So is the February 14th, 1998 lover from work?
Nope.
He met her. You met her through work.
Where's she from?
She was a customer. She was a customer at my job. Yeah.
Through work. So that's the day that made you feel more loved at work than at home?
I guess so. Yeah.
And what did that affair result in?
Separation between me and her as of February 14th, 1998.
And isn't somebody pregnant?
No. Oh, that was the first one. I forgave him for that.
Oh, that was the first one. So this has been going on and on?
When I found out about
when was the first one that someone's pregnant?
The one that I found out about when I was 3 months pregnant.
But he said he didn't have an affair when you were pregnant with the twins.
She was 6 months pregnant.
When divorce court returns.
Why would you think that that was the proper time to have a child by your wife when you have another woman pregnant?
Are you getting divorced? Do you need Judge Maybelline Ephraim's help settling a dispute? To be a guest on Divorce Court, call 1-877-311-2222. Divorce Court is back in the case of Dante versus Teresa Nixon, as Dante testifies about getting Teresa and his girlfriend pregnant at the same time.
Why would you think that that was the proper time, and that was such a good time to have a child by your wife when you have another woman pregnant? And you knew that if she found out, that was going to hurt her and was going to end the relationship, which means leaving the kids without a father or breaking up the relationship. Why bring children into the picture then?
Your Honor, like I said, I just wasn't thinking about that at the time.
You weren't thinking it's right.
I get so tired of you people not thinking about the results of your behavior and the consequences.
I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna sit up there and try to say that I was the best thing in our marriage. I wasn't. I did a lot of wrong. Okay, I'll be the first to admit that.
Okay, so now you're angry because you say that you weren't getting anything out of this marriage and you want out.
Correct.
And you want your dog.
Yes, I do.
Now tell me how you get the dog.
I got the dog. I purchased my dog in '94. Okay. I purchased my dog in '94. I paid the bill on it from a government American Express card. Okay. I purchased my dog.
You didn't have the children yet?
No. The kids we weren't even thinking about the kids.
So this was starting your family?
Correct. Okay. And I purchased a dog. My first baby, yes.
Your first baby?
Correct.
It was
because
ours.
I did everything for that dog. If the dog was doing great, it was our dog. If the dog pooped or on the floor or whatever, it was Dante, it's your dog.
Because you were better acquainted with cleaning up the...
Yeah, thank you.
It was my dog then, okay? And it's my dog now.
Well, it's not your dog. You say the dog, you did everything for the dog.
Yes, I did.
How you do that working 2 jobs and you wasn't home all the time?
Thank you.
I always paid for it. I made the appointment.
But you said I did everything.
I made the appointments for the vets. I made sure that the dog got cleaned or groomed.
Didn't the dog have to eat?
I made sure the dog had food.
But if you're working...
I made sure I fed the dog before going to work.
And she didn't eat anymore all day?
If she didn't eat anymore till I came home from work.
And who told you that?
If I came, because I had to come home and change clothes for work. I didn't care. I had 2 different jobs. I had 2 different uniforms.
I fed that dog. Don't even sit up here and tell that story.
So you're now saying Miss Nixon didn't even feed the dog?
I don't know if she fed the dog or not.
Oh, at least you, okay, now say I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if she fed the dog or not.
I know the dog is still alive. It's been a few years, so I guess it's safe to say I fed it.
I know when I came home, I would feed the dog. There's nothing in the house that I wanted, okay? Nothing at all that I want in that house, okay? But it's okay. Your Honor, life has gone on. She's got a new relationship.
Nothing in the house you wanted except the dog?
I've got a new relationship. No, Your Honor, no. Just my dog.
Why do you want the dog?
She's a beautiful mother. Teresa's a beautiful mother.
You're going to give her a compliment?
I always give her compliments. When it comes to the kids, she is a beautiful mother. She knows exactly.
Okay, you know what? You've been so angry this whole case, and you said nothing but a lot of bad things about Miss Nixon. Do me a favor. Turn to her and say you're a beautiful mother.
You are a beautiful mother. You take care of our kids, okay? You are a very good mother, and I give you all the credit for that, okay?
Thank you.
But it's just my dog, okay? She has everything else. She has everything. She has everything else.
But she's not a beautiful dog taker.
No,
she doesn't care for the dog.
It's just the first thing that I purchased on my own.
You are just being so petty about it.
The first thing that you ever purchased on your own?
That I could grab and say,
then you
this
should
is
have
mine.
took the dog with you when you left. If you wanted the dog, you should have packed her stuff up and took it right along with you.
Well, if I could, I would.
Well, you should have. The dog's got a leash, and she's got a food dish. All you had to do was get to stepping. You could have took her.
But how long has he been gone?
It's been off and on for a few months.
So why would it have been okay to take the dog then? It would have detached the children from the dog, but it's not okay now.
He shouldn't take the dog, period.
I didn't ask you anything.
The dog belongs with the kids. I mean, if he had intentions of, he knew what he was doing when the children were born. He knew what he was doing when they came home. He knew he was leaving.
The dog was there before the children were born, right?
Thank you,
exactly.
Your Honor.
That's true. And but the children are there now.
You about to give him some credit?
Attached to the dog.
Were you about to give him some credit?
No.
No.
Oh.
No.
For what?
No.
I thought maybe I heard you say I'll give you credit for something.
She about to ruin my credit if
I'll say that much.
You say he makes beautiful babies?
One of our children looks just like him.
Turn around, Mr. Nixon. You may not ever hear this again. Look at Miss Nixon. Tell him.
You make beautiful babies, but you're still a dog.
Oh, now you complimented him and took it back.
No, I didn't. He knows he's a dog.
Okay.
This dog has been there with the boys throughout everything. They pull her tail, they pull her ears, they hit her with stuff, and she just kind of looks at them like, oh, heavens, they'll be big soon. You know, I mean, she has a good disposition, and she's good with the boys, and she loves them, and they love her.
How old are your boys? 3?
They're almost 3. I mean, they call her name. I mean, they're delayed. They don't talk like other children. They have a lot of things going on, and I mean, that's what. She's therapeutic for them. I mean, they know that that's their dog.
Now
they
we're
go
gonna
to
get
the house
therapeutic.
and look for. They
She's
do.
using
It
big
is
words
important.
now, Your Honor.
It is important. It is important for them to have some type of stability and consistency in their lives. Their father's not there,
and if they
he's
don't
not
have
there
this
that
dog,
often either. When he does come around.
All right, Miss Nixon, watch. Look at me.
Yes, ma'am.
The judge renders her verdict when divorce court returns. But will the judge's decision end the fighting?
Love is blind.
And an update on the case of Tiara Olson versus Rico Haley.
I would have different
make money
rules
to
on my
pay
answer
bills.
machine every night while I was pregnant.
Divorce court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce court is back in session as Teresa and Dante's marriage comes to an end.
You both are just being real selfish here. Mr. Nixon, you just want the dog because you want the dog. Mrs. Nixon, you want the dog because you want the dog. That's what it is. But the only thing that made sense to me was the dog has bonded with the children, and the dog has been with the children since they were born, and the children have suffered some through their health for whatever reasons, and this is a good relationship. I'm concerned that a new dog, they won't be able to pull his tail. They won't be able to play with him as freely as they will with this dog with whom they've become acquainted, and it may hurt them. This dog is safe for the children now, and that's what I'm concerned about. Well, rather than buy the children another dog, buy yourself another dog if you'd like to. But the judgment of this court is, and let me make it perfectly clear, the dog is awarded to the children, not to you, Mr. Nixon, and not to you, Mrs. Nixon. The dog accompanies the children wherever they go. When they go to visit with Mr. Nixon, the dog goes too. Do you understand that, Ms. Nixon?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine, Your Honor.
And Mr. Nixon, since you do have a relationship with this dog, and I believe that you've bonded and you like him as well, her as well, I'm going to allow you visitation with the dog.
That's fair.
And you get to go to the house at least once a week, or more if Mrs. Nixon would agree. So you can visit with the dog and make sure the dog is being cared for properly, the dog is being fed, the dog is not sick. That's the order of the court.
Thank you.
When divorce court returns, an update on the case of Tiara Olson versus Rico Haley.
So a man that had 4 children before you married him, how do you think he got those 4 children? Staying at home?
Closed captioning for divorce court provided by. If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in divorce court. When Tiara Olson married Rico Haley, he swore he'd be a faithful family man. Instead, she claims he had numerous affairs and had 4 children by 4 different women.
I would have different girls on my answer machine every night while I was pregnant. The week after I had my daughter, my mother was there. He was not there.
So a man that had 4 children before you married him, how do you think he got those 4 children? By 4 different women? Staying at home?
Rico brought Tiara to court to get her to pay the $400 phone bill he says she ran up talking to her friends. But Tiara said she wouldn't pay him a dime until she got back the undeveloped film of their daughter's birth from him.
Why haven't you developed him?
She committed adultery with a young man who I know.
What do you say? Is he the father?
A paternity test proved that Rico was the father of Tiara's baby, and the judge ordered him to give her the pictures of the birth. The judge also ordered that they split the phone bill in half. After they left court, Rico said he was about to give the film to Tiara, but before he could, it melted from the heat inside his mother's car.
It was just outrageous. She was just being petty about the whole thing, and I think the judge did the right decision and gave it to the children. That's all I wanted, and I'm fine with it. He can visit the dog whenever he wants. I don't care.
Teresa, you had everything. You have everything. I never argued with you. I never argued with you when you decided we were going to get divorced, you know. But now, you know, well, you got my puppy too, you know. I guess you win, you know, again.
In today's session of Divorce Court, Chris and Walter Reeder married for the first time in 1985, but after 5 years, the marriage was over. 4 years later, they were back in each other's arms and walked down the aisle again. But after just 1 month, Chris wants a second divorce from Walter. Now Walter's got a new girlfriend.
If you're smart, you will listen to me before you get in any deeper with this man.
You never gave him the chance, Chris.
But Chris says the real problem is that Walter is a deadbeat dad who turned his back on their son.
We have a chronically ill child that has leukemia.
You walked out on this
No, I did not walk out on that son. You told me to.
Would I be here today if I told you to leave?
And now she wants him to pay.
Your child is sick, and he goes to the doctor often. So why are you surprised that there's a bill? You think they do it free?
I am not going to pay $9,000 worth of hospital bills.
Oh, my God!
Why am I sitting here? He's got it all figured out.
Today, Chris and Walter Reeder square off in divorce court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Walter Reeder versus Chris Reeder. I'm advised by my court papers that you were married once for 5 years, divorced. Each of you married someone else. Then you remarried, and you lived together for a month. And now you're ready to end the second marriage. What is that about, Mrs. Reeder?
I want a divorce. I want a divorce because this man is totally irresponsible. He is immature, and he has a total disregard for the welfare of his children.
And what does all that mean?
We have a chronically ill child that has leukemia. He has never even offered a penny to help pay for any of the medical bills.
Your child has leukemia?
I have a 9-year-old boy that was diagnosed at 5.5 years old.
I'm sorry to hear that. And he hasn't offered to pay one bill?
Wouldn't even come to the hospital when this child was on life support.
Mr. Reeder, please help me out. Tell me that you're not that inhumane and incompassionate.
He wouldn't even come in the room. He could not come in the room to see this boy because he couldn't handle it. He was in the hallway because he couldn't handle it.
You have a picture too.
Is that what you said? Sometimes some of us can't handle pain as well as others.
Your Honor, that's just not completely so. I'm sorry, I'm Chris's sister.
This is my eldest
That's
sister.
not completely true.
All right, step forward. I'm going to let you talk now, but in the future, you wait till I acknowledge you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what's your name?
My name is Kim Trapolino.
And what can you add to this?
Well, I have been there they lived with me. I have watched Walter's behavior towards the children. He's not supportive.
So tell me I'm talking about the hospital.
The hospital, they had flown us all in. The doctors, Christopher was dying.
He was on life support.
And anyway, he was dying, and his own dad couldn't come into the priest was there. We had all joined hands at the foot of the bed, and begging for life.
And the father didn't
And he
come
was
in?
outside. All you could hear is him in the hall just hollering. You couldn't make sense of what he was saying.
Was he hollering out of pain, or was he just hollering?
Well, his pain isn't real pain. I mean, to me, it's
to focus the attention on himself.
How do you decide whether someone's pain is real or not real? How do you determine that, Ms. Tripoli?
Trepolino.
Trepolino, how do you determine that?
Well, Walter's always been a good actor. He's been a good actor in everything that he's ever done. He has continually, I've watched him in his anger outbursts, and you better get out of the way because things are going to be flailed everywhere. He throws a fit on everything. As long as Walter's getting his needs met, he doesn't care about what happens to the rest of him, and that's been continually shown throughout.
So what makes you an expert on the fact that because he was yelling and screaming, you said you didn't understand what he was saying, so which means that he was incoherent somewhat, right?
I understood that.
One moment.
I'm sorry to interrupt, ma'am, but I just can't keep sitting here and letting her bash him.
You weren't even there. You have not even been in the picture for about a year
about
and a half.
This man.
You know what this man has told you.
And
if you're smart,
if
you're smart, you will listen to me before you get in any deeper with this man.
You never gave him the chance, Chris. You never gave him the chance.
You don't know that.
You're a new girlfriend or something?
She's a new girlfriend.
I've been with Walter for a year and a half.
And if she were smart.
Okay, I don't want the two of you fighting among yourselves.
That's fine.
Not in my courtroom.
But I mean, as another human being, if she were smart, she would listen and take some of this in before getting any deeper with this man.
Well, let her make her own mistakes if she'd like to make them. You made it twice, it appears. So give her one chance.
Absolutely.
If she wants to do it once, let her do it.
Absolutely.
May I please add one
Just
thing?
let me finish with one witness at a time, and then I'll hear from you. What's your name?
Christina Morton.
All right, Ms. Morton, I'll hear from you in a moment.
Okay.
Your Honor, when Christopher was first born, he was diagnosed with, well, he had trouble from the beginning. Christy had to stay in what's called a Ronald McDonald House, where she attended to his all needs. What I'm trying to get a point across to you is his immaturity and his selfishness kept him away from there. He wouldn't even take Chrissy to the doctor, back and forth. She had to take a taxi.
Okay, Ms. Rita, let her talk, please.
She had to take a taxi, and he wouldn't stay at that Ronald McDonald House because he couldn't smoke his cigarettes.
Why are we just focusing on my son? Why is this whole focus about just
because
my son?
Because right now I'm asking some questions about that. Because I'm concerned that she's saying you're immature, you're irresponsible, and you didn't even care for your son.
That is not true.
Mrs. Tripoli, sit down. Let me see what Ms. Morton has to say.
Yes, thank you.
Because she's just anxious. She keeps telling him to say something. You can't talk for yourself?
No, he can't. He's immature. He can't.
No, because you've put him down over the years so much that he can't.
I have offered him over the years so much to help him. He couldn't even. He couldn't even work an extra job.
Let Mrs. Morton talk to me.
I've been with this man for almost a year and a half.
You've been with him for almost a year and a half?
Yes, I have.
She was with him for 10 years.
Yeah, and I can tell you from being with this man for the past year and a half that he is a compassionate person.
So what is he doing for his 5-year-old son that has leukemia?
First of all, he has held down insurance for him up to about a year ago.
That's why I have all these medical bills?
Wait, let her finish. He had insurance.
Those medical bills were taken care of already, almost all of them, by medical insurance and Medicaid.
And what's going on with the money that he's making for the children? Is he spending that on the children?
I haven't gotten a dime. I haven't gotten a dime.
I
have spent
offered to pay
over
you money.
$700.
We have offered to send $55 a week out of his paycheck direct to her.
You've offered to send money.
Yes, we have offered.
Why do you have to offer? Why don't you just send it?
Because she said she doesn't want it. She wants the insurance.
Oh my God! Please. I don't want
She said she does not want the money. She wants insurance, and it's in the works right now. We've already filled out the paperwork.
You've offered to send money, and she's refused.
Yes,
Is that what
she refused the money.
Miss Rita, you refused the money?
I'm paying out of pocket when they don't have insurance on the kids. I'm paying for this little child's medicine.
Have you refused the money?
Absolutely not.
That is a lie, Chris.
You told me
that is a lie.
That I could choose child support or I could choose insurance. And I told you.
What did you say?
Stop. She said choose child support, $55 a week.
I'm not talking
Hold
put
on,
money
Mrs.
in
Rita.
efforts.
I choose insurance.
And she chose.
And she chose insurance. Mm-hmm. That is not refusing the money. You trying to put it like she refused the money. She chose insurance because the insurance meets her need better than $55 a week when you're talking about a child with leukemia. Is that so hard to understand?
No, it's not hard to understand, ma'am. But, you know, we are both working and struggling ourselves right now. She makes $14 to $18 an hour.
No,
she can't hold down a job.
I support 2 kids.
Walter has held down a job for almost 2 years.
Walter finally wants to talk. Let him say something. Have a seat, Ms. Morton.
She has not had her daughter in the last year. I have been supporting my daughter for the last year until up to June when she went to live back with...
You have your daughter?
I did have her up till June when she went to live back with her mom. And I was keeping insurance up until for about a year, a little over a year on both of the kids.
So what happened to the insurance, Mr. Reeder?
I switched jobs because I wasn't happy with the job. I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't getting a raise, and I wasn't getting felt like I was getting treated fairly. So I switched to a different company, which paid me about the same amount of money.
So why you switched to a different company paying you the same amount of money and having to cancel insurance?
Because they wouldn't let me carry it over because I switched companies, and I was waiting for the insurance to go in effect in my new job. I filled out the paperwork for that to get that done.
And how long did that take? It's usually 30 days.
It's like 3 months, but I've been.
3 months is not a year.
I know that's my negligence for doing that. I'm sorry about that.
Your negligence for doing what?
For not getting the insurance any quicker.
So you switched jobs and didn't get insurance right away?
Yes, ma'am.
So you've been paying on the medical bills since he didn't have the insurance?
She never brought the medical bills up to me that I needed to pay on them. This is the first I've even heard of it. I mean, she brought this up in court about the medical bills out of surprise.
You weren't surprised that there were medical bills. Your child is sick, and he goes to the doctor often. So why are you surprised that there's a bill? You think they do it free?
No, I don't.
Did you ever ask, is there a bill?
Nope.
Why not?
Because they can't get along.
You need to be quiet. I didn't ask you. What is the matter with you two people? Can you talk, Ms. Reeder?
Yes, ma'am, but there is...
Can you talk, Mr. Reeder?
Yes.
Why do these other two people think that they have to talk for you?
I don't know.
We just want to make sure that everything
Now
is
I can understand. This marriage would never work. You in the business, Miss Tripolita, you the sister, right?
Yes,
Were
ma'am.
you doing this all the time?
No, ma'am.
It wasn't. It was.
And Miss Morton, you over here in the business. It'll never work.
When divorce court returns, Walter speaks up.
And I'm going to tell you straight
You ready to
up.
talk now, huh?
I am not going to pay $9,000 worth of hospital bills.
I thought this was my court, and I get to make decisions.
And tempers flare in the courtroom.
You told me to
Would I
leave.
be here today if I told you to leave?
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce Court is back in the case of Chris Reeder, who is divorcing her husband Walter for a second time and accuses him of neglecting their chronically ill child.
Tell me something else. I know what part of the problem is. What else is going on?
Right now, my son, he's in remission, praise the Lord. In his chest is an implanted portacath. Okay, this is a device that we have to give chemo and draw blood through. It's ready to come out so he can be a normal child and not have this in his chest. I can't even get it, I mean, it's ready. But until this man picks up insurance again or tells me he's not gonna and starts sending money where I can pay for insurance, I can't. I've talked to my employer and it won't be covered.
How much is the cost of this particular?
It's a surgical procedure. They put him to sleep, and it's about $3,500. They said between $3,500 and $4,000.
And so that's what you need immediately.
That's what I need immediately, plus the $9,000 in back.
There's $9,000 in expense.
There's $9,000 in unpaid medical bills.
Let me see those bills, please. $9,000 unpaid over what period of time?
They're all written out. I could show it to you.
We've been together. We've been together. We haven't been together. We've been together. Not together. You know, you just cannot justify being together and trying to throw all these bills in my face right at one point
Since
over that.
1997, we have not been together.
Them bills have not been there since then. I mean, they've been off and on bills, and you cannot do that.
Miss Reeder, you were married to him once. It didn't work.
There were at least
and he was
20
immature
times
and
that we got back
irresponsible.
together. That's not why we got. I mean, we were already separated for months at that time.
Why did you remarry a man that was immature and irresponsible?
Because my marriage in between ended very, very, very badly. I got lonely, and I figured, you know, the kids love their dad.
You didn't remarry that man for the kids' sake.
I was lonely too. I was ready for a man too. Yeah.
It was the same kids that you had when you left him, and so now you left him the first time and you had the kids. So all of a sudden you marry him for the kids' sake.
No, that's not totally true.
I know it's not.
Here's what happened, and I'm gonna tell you straight up.
You ready to talk now, huh?
She said She said to me, if another bill comes in that we cannot handle the pay, you know, I was out of Dallas and was living in Bowie, then she said, I'm going to end it. I'm walking out on you.
If another bill comes in that we can't pay, I'm walking out on you.
Yeah, and that's not, you do not stay with someone, whether, I mean, they stay with people, stay married for better or for worse, and for sickness or in health, you know, that's the way you do it.
So why did you remarry her a second time?
You walked out on this
No,
child.
I did not walk out on that son. You told me to leave.
You walked out on...
You.
Oh, my God. Would I be here today if I told you to leave? You walked out.
Who filed for divorce? Somebody would be here. Then that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. Ma'am, there's the Beanie Baby collection. There's 60 or 70. I know that there's one that's a dragon that's worth at least $400. My daughter wants those back. I want him to pay for half of this divorce, and I want him to pay for the $9,000. There were over $100,000 in medical bills.
Anything else you want to tell me about what you want this court to decide?
I am not going to pay $9,000 worth of hospital bills.
Why am I sitting here?
He's got it all figured out.
He's got it all figured out. He already told me everything that he's going to do and not going to do.
Well, that's
so why am I wearing this black robe?
I'm sorry.
I thought this was my court.
It is.
And I get to make decisions.
You do. You asked me what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
No, you didn't tell me what you wanted. You told me what you weren't going to do.
Oh.
And there's a big difference.
I meant what I wanted.
Oh. What else needs to be discussed?
Well, we could talk about all the money that my mom has loaned you to get that car you had, and then you never paid it back, only $1,000 of it.
Talk about the money that your mother loaned her to get a car.
Yeah.
And she didn't pay it back.
Nope.
Why do we want to talk about that?
Is your mama here?
Why do we want to talk about that?
Because we were together whenever the bills were accumulated for my son. What is that? That's not relevant to any of this at all either?
Let me see something that shows that your mother loaned you money.
Sir. You gonna sit there and deny it?
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
You gonna sit there and deny that?
She loaned us the money.
I said
I
us.
paid back my $1,000 of it.
It was $3,000. Who was driving
Total.
the car? Total. I was.
Okay, stop. This says that on one particular occasion she loaned $3,000 and $1,000 has been repaid. On several other occasions she advanced $200 to $400, and I don't know what several other occasions is. And I don't know if it was $200 or $400 or somewhere in between. So how am I supposed to figure out what you owe your mother?
We both owe her
And
a
what
lot.
does that have to do
What
with
do you
these
owe her?
children?
What do you owe your mother?
Everything.
How much in total?
I don't know.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Give it back to him.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I need to know if he's going to pick up insurance or not, or if he's going to start
I
paying
need to
some
know.
child
I need to
support.
know whether I'm gonna get a guarantee whenever I call down to talk to my kids. If it's her having a bad day, where I'm gonna get to talk to them or not.
Well, in terms of custody of the children and speaking to them, I'm going to send you to mediation.
Okay.
To resolve that issue.
Okay.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict.
The priority is to pay these medical bills. For his sake, for your daughter's sake. Grow up. Be adults. Think about them for a minute.
Closed captioning for divorce court provided by Divorce court is back in session and the verdict is in the case of Chris Reeder versus Walter Reeder.
Back in the matter of Walter Reeder versus Chris Reeder. After giving this matter careful thought, that's what took me some time, it is my opinion that the most important issue here today is the payment of these medical bills for your son. The Beanie Babies are ordered sold to apply toward the payment of the $3,500 surgical procedure, which you've testified that your son needs immediately. Each parent is ordered to pay one half of the outstanding medical bills, which is $4,983.05 apiece. You make the payments every month until the bills are paid. The $3,000 owed to your mother for the car, the reason I allowed it is because both of you admitted that she loaned you the money to purchase the car. You've paid back $1,000 as he stated. That was a joint repayment, even if it was out of your pocket and you were the one working. So there is a $2,000 balance owed to your mother. Mr. Reeder's mother. Each of you is responsible for 1/2. Repay the money to Ms. Reeder's mother. But that is not going to be my priority. The priority is to pay these medical bills. For his sake, for your daughter's sake, grow up. Be adults. Think about them for a minute.
I don't understand why my daughter's Beanie Babies have to be sold to pay for her brother's medical bills. This is my daughter's Beanie Baby collection.
You think about it. Your daughter is a child. The Beanie Babies were purchased by the two of you with your monies. It's community money. Your son has a need. Do you have the money to pay? You told me you didn't.
No, but
because I'm more concerned about his need than the Beanie Babies and your daughter's collection. She's not going to die because those Beanie Babies are gone. She can get some more. Can your son get another life?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
So that's the way you explain it to her. We can buy some more Beanie Babies, but we're trying to keep your brother alive. Okay?
Thank you.
That's the order of the court.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com.
It's just a bad situation all the way around. Maybe today will prompt him to be a more active father.
Just focused in on him right off and tried to make the judge feel sorry for him.
And the little boo-hoo, you know.
Oh. No.
But you can't change a man. I've learned that.
In today's session of Divorce Court, Shannon Coleman and Patrick Dolly fell in love when they were just teenagers. For 5 years, they hid their love from their families and finally ran away to Las Vegas and got married. They thought their love would last forever, but after 6 months, Patrick says their marriage was full of betrayals.
The night of our what's supposed to be our honeymoon, she was sleeping with another man.
Oh my goodness. Is that right?
I had a boyfriend at the time, yes.
Oh!
And lies.
How do you fake a pregnancy for 6 months? Is that right, Ms. Coleman?
Yes, it is.
And I think about that kid. You know, and I think about, well, if she would have really been pregnant, how old would our kid be now?
Now, Patrick says his trust is shattered. But can they really go through with a divorce?
I didn't want the marriage to end.
Do you still love her at this moment? I think you still want to be married. Is that right?
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
This is a matter of Shannon Coleman versus Patrick Dolly. I'm advised that the two of you had a relationship for 5 years over the telephone that was quite wonderful. You met, you married, and within 6 months you separated. I'm also advised that Mr. Patrick, Mr. Dolly, you were aware immediately that it was a mistake. Today you're asking for a divorce and you want the stereo system. Right. And is this the stereo system next to Mr. Coleman?
Yes, it is.
All right. Why do you think you should get the stereo system?
First of all, Your Honor, I don't believe that it's not about a radio, it's not about a stereo. It's
what
about
is it about?
It's about something that holds sentimental value to me.
All right, what's the sentimental value?
Throughout our relationship, Shannon put me through a lot, you know, a lot of heartbreak, 6 months of fake pregnancy.
A fake pregnancy?
She had me kissing her stomach, singing songs to a child that never existed.
A fake pregnancy for 6 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Coleman, how did you fake a pregnancy for 6 months?
Well, this is the thing. He broke up with me, and I was so hurt that I felt I just ran away from my family. I moved out. You know, I had no one to go to, and here he breaks up with me. And I was really, really hurt by that.
And you moved out for him?
Yes, I did.
That's not true. The reason why I broke up with her is because she was sleeping with my friend.
I did not sleep with your friend. I messed around with your friend. I did not.
Okay, that makes it better. That makes it better.
Stop. You weren't sleeping with his friends. You messed around?
Right.
Define messed around.
Messed around, what happened is I sat on his lap and I was rubbing his head and I kissed him while he was in the other room.
While your husband was in the other room?
Yes.
This really hurts you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, I've cared about this girl forever. We've been a part of each other's lives forever.
Mr. Coleman, Mr. Dolly, bailiff, do you need some water? Would you like some water, Mr. Dolly? You want us to take a minute?
It's okay.
You need a break?
No, thank you. I'm okay.
You sure? I'm still trying to figure out, how did you fake being pregnant for 6 months? Did you put some pillows there and say the baby was growing inside? How'd you do that?
I told everyone that I was pregnant and I just kept it along. And Patrick had his doubts. He kept telling me, Shannon, just tell me the truth.
So did you tell your father and your mother too?
No. Okay. No. And so 6 months down the road, he finally said, if you don't tell me the truth, then leave my house now. And my whole thing was I was so afraid that he was going to break up with me, because I did love this man.
What were you going to do at 9 months when it was time for the baby to be born?
Well, I was trying very, very hard to get pregnant, and I couldn't.
So you were hoping that you get pregnant during the time that you were faking the pregnancy?
Yes.
And that didn't happen?
Correct. And so when it did come out that I wasn't, and he was very devastated, and I totally understand.
How did it come out that you weren't pregnant? How'd you find out?
I got really tired. I knew. I had my doubts from the beginning.
So how did you find out?
I talked to a lot of people. I went and talked to doctors, and I got different opinions. And it just hit me. I knew that she wasn't pregnant, and I told her throughout the whole 6 months, just tell me the truth. I promise you I won't break up with you.
Could you see that you weren't gaining, she wasn't gaining weight?
Like I said, I guess love is blind. I want so much for her. Even now, I know that our relationship is not going to work, but I still want the best for this woman. I still want the best.
What do you want for yourself?
To be honest with you, what I've always done in my whole life is I've always put her first.
Not your whole life. You've only known each other for 6 years.
Since I've known her. Okay. I've always put her first.
So this was a classic love-hate relationship. Yes.
Your Honor, she lied to me. She betrayed me. She hurt me. Okay.
And you don't think that you hurt her at all?
I've never hurt her. I've given her nothing but respect, Your Honor. I've treated her with nothing but respect.
I bet if I were to ask her that, she wouldn't agree.
Of course she wouldn't agree.
Ms. Coleman, don't you feel that he's hurt you some too?
Yes, he has.
What have I done to hurt you?
When we first broke up, before I did the fake pregnancy thing, he went out on a date. He called me up before he went out on the date to tell me that he was going out on a date. Then when he came back home, he called me and told me all about the date and how he lost his pager in the sand because they were fooling around on the beach.
So I have one question. If you thought that he was messing around before you married him, 2 years after you saw each other, and you thought that he was messing around the 5 years that you were talking on the phone to each other, why did you marry him?
I loved him. We've been together on and off for so long.
Your Honor,
he's like
I have never cheated on her. The one time that I did something with her friend, it was after the fake pregnancy, after the stolen ring.
Let me ask you the same question. But you used to stop. If she was messing around, so you thought, before you married her, the first time you saw her, you say she sat on your friend's lap, and you say she had an affair. She said she just sat on his lap and kissed him. Whatever. 2 years goes by. Why did you marry her?
Your Honor, I was in denial. I didn't think she can do any wrong.
But you saw her doing wrong.
Right.
So
I couldn't believe it.
When divorce court returns, Shannon talks about other problems in her short marriage to Patrick.
He was very possessive. I cannot go anywhere without him.
She wears shirts that stop right here. We go out in public and she's like, stretching and then everything is showing.
And what really happened on their wedding night.
The night of our what's supposed to be our honeymoon, she was sleeping with another man.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce Court is back as Shannon testifies about Patrick's possessive and jealous nature.
He was very possessive. I cannot go anywhere without him. Even to go get my nails done, he had to be there right there sitting right by me.
I wanted to be there because I wanted to be by my woman's side. I'm sorry if I want to spend time with my woman. That's
Is it because you didn't trust her, or you just wanted to be with her?
It's a little of both. I wanted to be with her.
I cannot wear clothes that I wanted to wear.
She wears shirts that stop right here, Your Honor, and when we go out in public.
Shirts that stop right where?
Like right here. We go out in public and she's like, you know, stretching it and everything is showing.
You mean showing her breasts?
Yeah.
I mean, is that right?
No, that is not right. I mean,
wait a minute though. Is this before or after the marriage that she's wearing the short shirts?
This is before and after.
So if you know that she was wearing short shirts that showed her breasts during,
but this is how he met me.
Hold on, I'm trying to get some understanding. She cheats on you with her friends. Mm-hmm. She deceived you about a pregnancy. Right. She wears shirts that shows her breast, and yet you married her. Why?
Your Honor, okay, when she moved back, I knew that we went to Vegas, okay, and she brought up getting married. Now, I've always wanted to marry this woman.
Despite all of that?
Right. I've always wanted to marry her.
Sounds like you're a glutton for punishment, are you?
Sucker for love, one of them.
Okay, sucker for love.
One of them.
So she asked you to go to Las Vegas?
Well, actually, we agreed to go to Las Vegas, you know, just
to get married or just to go to Vegas?
Just to go spontaneously.
And then what happened?
She brought up marriage, us getting married, and
so you said it sounds pretty good to me, right?
That's what I'd always wanted, was to be married to her.
And do you still love her at this moment?
That's a question I still don't know to this day.
I think you still want to be married. Is that right?
No, ma'am.
We've gone through a lot of stuff with one another, and I have to admit I have done some really bad, terrible stuff to him. You know.
So then why do you think you should have this stereo system?
This is the only thing, and I understand where he's coming from. This is the only thing that I have left from our marriage.
It's the only thing he has left. That's what he says.
You're the one when we got out of the chapel said, I think we made a mistake. We should go and try to get this fixed right now.
Right.
I'm the one said.
Right. So immediately he asked for that?
Yes. Nobody.
Okay, wait. Let me just say this. Okay, the night of our what's supposed to be our honeymoon, she was sleeping with another man.
Oh my goodness.
The night of our honeymoon, she dropped me off at my house, and I had to go explain to my mom that I was married. She went and slept with another man.
How do you know that?
She told me. Ask her.
Is that right?
I had a boyfriend at the time, yes.
Oh! So you married him?
He said he wanted to
No. You got a boyfriend. You talk him into getting married.
I didn't talk him into getting married.
You suggested we get married.
Okay, but I didn't put a gun or hold anything.
I understand that, but you suggested we get married.
But as soon as after we stepped out, he said, "Oh, we made a mistake."
How do you think? Probably should have said the same thing.
How do you think I felt? No, I told him we should go to marriage counseling.
No, yes,
that I'm the one that said we should go to marriage counseling. I think you did
that before marriage.
I didn't want the marriage to end.
My question is, after such a terrible relationship, why do either of you want this stereo to remind you of the relationship?
It's a very good question. I still do care. I do care about her. I care about her well-being. You know.
You're in counseling.
Well, I have a therapist that I see occasionally.
Are you seeing the therapist?
Yes.
Don't stop. If this marriage and this 7-year relationship has been as torn as you people have described to me today, why in the world would you want any memories of it? I'd tear up every picture, every phone bill. Just forget it.
He did. He tore up my only graduation picture that I had, that I gave to him. He tore that up.
Wouldn't that remind you of him if you had the stereo?
It's the only thing I have.
And my ring and my chain.
Why do you want it?
He's always going to be in my heart, regardless of everything I've done.
Oh, this is so touching.
It's true, Your Honor.
All right,
I do. I care about him a lot. You know, he is the only person that has stuck by me through everything. I know I've done some really, really bad stuff. Really bad stuff. You know, and I am an adult, so I have to take responsibility for what I've done. But as my family life, I didn't have the greatest family life in the world. A lot of stuff has happened to me.
And you know, a lot of people have it.
I know. I understand that as him as well. A lot has gone through his family as well. You know, and I think that's why we stuck on to each other so much, is because it was like together we were our own like support system, because his family was not the greatest, my family was not the greatest, and we tried, or he tried, okay, to make it work.
And although it was admirable that the two of you were trying to lean on each other, both of you were falling.
I know.
That's what's the problem.
And that's why I suggested going to marriage counseling, because even to this day, I wanted it to work.
What about you, Mr. Dolly? Would you consider marriage counseling and trying to keep the relationship?
No.
Not now. Had enough. So why would you want this stereo to remind you of a relationship that has caused you so much pain?
Like I said in the beginning, although I don't want to be married to her, I still do want to be a part of her life. You know.
So you want the stereo system so you can stay a part of her life?
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know.
It makes her dear to you when you look at the stereo system. Is that what you're saying?
Actually, it does.
I'm not laughing. I'm saying when you see that, it reminds you of her, and it's a part of her that's still next to you.
Yeah, it does. You know, I don't know where we're going to go from now. You know, I don't know if I'm going to have any contact with her, if I'm going to talk to her. And it's like I said, it doesn't have nothing to do with the fact it plays music or I want to, you know, nothing like that. You know, it has to do with her.
Why would you want an object to constantly remind you of that
pain? The reason
pain?
why I'm hurting is because of the things that she's done to me, not our relationship in general. The things that she's done to me throughout our relationship. That's what hurts. When I think back to that, I think about that kid. You know, and I think about, well, if she would have really been pregnant, how old would our kid be now?
So you're grieving over the whole deceit in terms of not having that child. That's what's hurting you.
And I've apologized for that. And I know I was totally out of line for that, totally. And I understand you're hurting. I understand that.
Bailiff, would you please give him a Kleenex?
And you know I hate to see you hurt. And I apologize. And I wish I could go back and do it all over again, because you know I would do it all over again and not do that.
Mr. Dolly, can you accept her apology? That, you know, even though she's done that and it hurt you and she deceived you, unfortunately, she can't take back those years, and nor can you. The only thing she can do now is say, I'm sorry. And you have to forgive and then move on. She said, I'm sorry. She can't change the past. Can you accept her apology and try to forget it?
I wish I could change the past.
You've got to for your own sake.
I still feel like, you know, I want to be a part of her life. I'm so concerned about how she's gonna be in life, if she's gonna be okay.
So you don't want this marriage to end?
I don't know. I don't want to be with her. I still do want to be a friend to her. I don't want to be with her anymore. I still do want to be a friend. I can accept the apology, but it still hurts.
Of course it hurts, but the first place you start to get rid of pain is when someone says, I'm sorry, and you accept it, and you start dwelling on the past. Okay.
I don't want to lose him as a friend. I still want him to be in my life.
Well, I suggest that both of you continue in counseling, and perhaps that can happen. But right now, I've got to decide what to do about the stereo. And I'm going to take a break to do that.
When divorce court returns, the judge hands down her verdict. And an update on the case of Irma Mercado versus J.R. Mercado.
What should these pictures show?
They're very explicit, and if I was you, I wouldn't open it.
Woo!
Divorce Court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce Court is back in the case of Shannon Coleman versus Patrick Dolly, whose marriage is ending after only 6 months.
Back in the matter of Shannon Coleman versus Patrick Dolly. This has not been an easy decision. Frankly, I think that both of you should take that stereo system and burn it. But that's not what you asked me. I think it represents the most painful moments in your lives. But since you're here for me to make a decision and one of you wants it, I have to do that. That's what you've asked me to do. Because Ms. Coleman has disposed of the only other few items that the two of you accumulated during this relationship. And apparently the marriage and the relationship didn't mean as much to her. I'm going to award the stereo system to Mr. Dolly with a strong suggestion that hopefully after a month or so you'll realize that you really don't need the reminder. It is so ordered. Court is adjourned.
When Divorce Court returns, an update on the case of Irma Mercado versus J.R. Mercado.
He knew what I had. His eyes were huge, the color left his face, and I just told him, you have 5 minutes to get out of my house.
Closed captioning for Divorce Court provided by. If you would like to have the judge hear your case in Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in Divorce Court. Irma Mercado had divorced J.R. once before, but their love brought them back together for a second try at marriage.
And I said, Irma, do you want to work things out? Because I didn't want to mess up my marriage. I love her to death.
But when Irma discovered an X-rated videotape and photographs of J.R. and another woman...
When I had it in my hand and was walking, he knew what I had. His eyes were huge, the color left his face, and I just told him, you have 5 minutes to get out of my house.
She brought him to Divorce Court.
What should these pictures tell me?
They're very explicit, and if I was you, I wouldn't open it.
She was married. She had 2 children.
Oh, my goodness. She was married?
Yes, that's right.
Her husband was his best friend.
He was not my best friend. No.
Irma wanted to keep the X-rated pictures in case she needed them as ammunition in a custody battle. But J.R. wanted to keep the pictures just to keep them away from Irma.
So what do you want to do with these pictures now?
I want to burn them.
That's what he said the first time. And there they are.
The judge said that neither party should have the pictures and ordered them destroyed.
I'm going to order you to give the videotape to Joe, please.
The tape and photographs were permanently destroyed immediately following the judge's ruling, but J.R. has no idea where the negatives to those pictures might be.
I feel the verdict was wrong. I think he's showing a lot of drama right now. I'm very upset.
Shannon, I don't know what else to say except for I still want to be a part of your life. I wish the best for you, you know, but as far as our marriage, it just can't work.